Hey guys, welcome to My Sew Bliss. Today I'm super excited to be partnering up with Baby Lock Sewing Machines and bringing you another sewing tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a reversible swim top. I'm going to be making this one right here. It turned out so cute and I am obsessed with it. And here is it with the other side. I'll try and put a picture right here of me wearing it. Right now I just have a bathroom picture. We're going to the lake soon, so hopefully I'll get more pictures and shots of it. If you want to see more of those, you can check out my Instagram. It's a good place to find more pictures and reels and up close shots and information on what I have made and what I'm making currently. So this was, like I said, a super fun sew, and this is the first time I've made a reversible swimsuit, and it was actually pretty easy, and I really liked the methods that I used in this tutorial to make this one. So the things that you're going to need: first, a sewing machine. I'm going to be using a basic sewing machine, my Baby Lock Brilliant, which is this machine right here. This is my favorite sewing machine. I use it every single day. It has so many great features and I'm just obsessed with it. So I'll put a link down below for it if you guys want to check it out. I am using just a sewing machine for this. I know a lot of times you can use and usually use a serger to sew swimsuits, but I wanted to show you how you can do it just using the regular sewing machine, which is totally fine. And that's exactly what I did. I never used a serger on this, and a few of my other swimsuits I've never used sergers on. Sometimes it's just out of convenience, but it was super fun. So I'm going to be using that machine, and then I did use a pattern. You could make your own pattern. I used this Vernazza Two Piece. It's a Friday Pattern Company swimsuit pattern, obviously. And I just hacked it to make it reversible. I also added a little bit to the neckline so that it came in a little more. I'm a little more busty, so I didn't want anything falling out, so I just added a little, like an inch and a half more to the neckline, and I made it a few different times and it's worked out really well. So I also made this, I put elastic on the bottom and I made that wider. So this is an 1.5 inch wide elastic that I used on the bottom. And I just really like that look in swimsuits when it's kind of like a band around here, and it gives you more support. So I use that as well. You don't have to. You could use small elastic. You don't have to use elastic at all. I just like the support it gives, the stability it brings, and then like just kind of feels like I'm holding in there and my swimsuit's not gonna go fly off. So just keep that in mind when you're making your swimsuit. And then on the armholes and neckline, I did use a clear swimsuit elastic. I just got off of Amazon, a huge roll of it, and I've loved it. I've had it for like a couple years now and I haven't run out yet. So we'll just keep using it and keep making swimsuits with it until it runs out, because it's amazing. Other than that, I also used a power mesh lining fabric. It's supposed to add support and stability. I didn't put any bra cups in this, so I felt like that was a good alternative to this, and so far so good. I haven't worn it swimming yet, so I mean, we'll see how that goes, but from wearing it just like in my house, it's been pretty nice and feels comfortable, feels supportive. So I'm a big fan of the power mesh as well. I just got that at Joann. I'm sure you can get it online at other sites as well, and if I find any, I'll put some in the links or in the description down below. I'll put the links for that. And then this pink fabric that I used is from Spoonflower. It's really nice. It's the first time I've used their swim fabric and I really like it. The design was made by Wing Made Home is her Instagram handle. She has beautiful designs. I have some other ones that I'm eyeing that I want to make other projects with, and I love that on Spoonflower you get to pick what kind of fabric you want and it's printed on that fabric and then you get it. So that is a great place to check it out. So make sure to check out Wing Made Home on Instagram and on Spoonflower. I'll put links down below for her information, but yeah, she just has the cutest designs. Like, I really like these flowers, and yeah, the printing on it and the colors of it are just so pretty. And then I did line it with like this orange, or I guess the reversible fabric, lining fabric, whatever you want to call it. is this orange fabric, and that's from, I believe, Raspberry Creek Fabrics. I got this a long time ago, and I've just had it in my swimsuit fabric stash. So that's a fun one too. I love both of those places to get swimsuit fabric, so make sure you check them out. You can also check out my other videos for tips and tricks on making a swimsuit that might be really helpful to get started sewing your swimsuit. One thing that's important to note before we get started is, because I'm using a regular sewing machine, you do want to make sure you're using a stretch stitch, or a stitch that will stretch. So I usually use a zigzag stretch, or there's like a lightning bolt looking stitch, or some machines have a specific stitch that stretches. Stretch. Oh my gosh, that is a tongue twister. But make sure you're not just using a straight stitch, because those threads can pop and break when your swimsuit stretches, because usually your swimsuit is smaller than your body so that it fits snug and tight and isn't falling off of you in the water. So when you sew and then put it on, you got to stretch it like that, you know how a swimsuit works, and you don't want those seams or stitching to break. So make sure you're using some form of stitching that will stretch. That is why most people use a serger, but you can definitely make it work, and it definitely holds up really nice on a regular sewing machine. So that's why I wanted to show you guys. One other tip, make sure you're using a stretch needle or ballpoint needle. It's gonna work and stitch so much smoother and nicer if you have the right needle on your machine. So just check that out. Those are a few of my tips I share in my other video on sewing swimsuits. So now we are ready to get started making our reversible swimsuit. For our first step, we're going to take our back piece for one of our sides, one of our fabric sides, and then we're going to lay the front piece right sides together and match up our shoulder seams. So I'm just going to stitch the shoulder seams across right here. And one thing that I like to do is I like to pick a side and then just add this power mesh into it. This is going to add more structure and support to the swimsuit, especially since I'm not doing any like bra cups in it. So I'm just going to add them to the front pieces. I don't really need one on the back. I don't really need support in the back. So I'm just going to treat them like they're just an extension of this piece right here. So they'll get sewn right there. And I'm going to do that to those pieces. And then my other fabric pieces, my other fashion fabric, or I don't know, good looking swimsuit fabric, not lining fabric, we'll do the same exact thing. So make sure your ties are going towards the middle. This fabric doesn't really have a right side or a wrong side. So for this, it doesn't matter as much, but you just want those ties going towards the middle. Line up right sides together at these shoulder seams, and I can pin those in place or clip them. I'm just going to use clips because they don't slip around with this slippery fabric. Pin it in place, and then I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine. For this swimsuit, I'm going to be just using my regular sewing machine. Like I said earlier, I'm using my Baby Lock Brilliant. Great machine. So I'm going to be using just a zigzag stitch or a stretch stitch. I could use, on this machine, there's a 5, 6, and an 8. Those would all work really great. And there's even more up here of different zigzag stitches, but I want them to be able to stretch, the stitches to stretch, so that they don't pop the seams or break when I'm actually wearing it. So I'm going to do number 5. I like to go up in length a little bit and then leave the width at 3.5. So width is 3.5 and length is 2.0. And then I'll just sew across here. And I'm just going to sew a little over 1/4 of an inch. And I should backstitch at the beginning and the end. Once we have our shoulder seams sewn together, then we're going to put our elastic in, and we just need to do this to one of our pieces. So I'm just going to do it on this side. I'm not going to baste this down. If you feel like this is annoying that there's two pieces right here, you could baste it down first. I feel like that's just one extra step I don't want. But I divided everything up into fourths. So the notches right here are one part, and then it goes to the shoulder seams, and then the center back, shoulder seams, and then the other notch. So I just divided up my neckline elastic the same exact way. Take the elastic, and I'm going to be putting it to the wrong side, just so it kind of like tucks in easier when we're done. And I'm going to be putting it at about 5/8 of an inch away from the edge. It doesn't have to be like super accurate, but you have to have enough room to stitch the neckline to this. We'll call this our lining piece, like the inside piece, so that it can make it reversible. So keep that in mind when you're sewing it. So I'm just gonna put my clips on the spots where they're supposed to go. Like I said before, I'm sewing on the inside of my fabric. This is against my power mesh, and I'm sewing about 5/8 of an inch away is where I'm lining up this elastic. It's kind of hard to tell. And I'm just gonna start sewing a couple stitches before I do anything. And back stitch. And then I'm gonna take, so this is my clip for this section. So I'm gonna take it and stretch that so that it goes to that shoulder seam, and I stretch the elastic as I'm sewing. So I'll just hold that and with the neckline elastic put in, I'm going to do the same thing that I did on the neckline, but with the armholes. So they're going to be laying flat, not putting them in the round, but I just have my size of elastic, and I just divided it in half, and I'll just stretch it to fit. Oh, I'm going to do it on the wrong side like I did the neckline, and at about 5/8 of an inch. So we can stitch the other side in. Okay, so lining up that edge, and I'll back stitch at the beginning and the end to secure it. And once I get a couple stitches in, that's when I start stretching it. So, because then it's secure. After getting all your elastic put in, so I have my neckline elastic, my armhole elastic put in, next I'm going to take my front piece and my lining piece, I guess is what I'm calling it, my two fashion fabrics. I'm putting them right sides together, lining everything up, and we're sewing on this one. I'm going to start down here around and go around the tie and around the neckline. So essentially we're sewing the neckline with the ties. So I'm just going to line everything up. I am going to stretch my elastic so that this fits, and then it'll stretch together. And I'm just going to be stitching once I get to it on top of where my elastic is. But for now, I'm just lining up my notches and shoulder seams, my back notch, and then around the ties so that we can take it over and sew this neckline. And I'm going to be sewing on top of my elastic stitching. So make sure you're doing that, because then it's just going to fold over and look like this, and you won't even be able to see it. And then I like to do a top stitch on the top at the end. You don't have to, and I'll bring this up later too. So I'm getting a little ahead of myself. That's okay. So once it's pinned, I will take it over to the sewing machine. So like I said, I'm just starting at this bottom edge of one of my ties and sewing all the way around that neckline at 5/8 of an inch. and back stitch at the beginning and the end. And if you feel like you need to, you could even lower your stitch length so it's a little bit tighter of a stitch, especially if you're more busty. This is a good time because this is like holding it together, your tie. So you really want that tie to hold up. So here's what it's gonna look like once I'm done sewing around that neckline. So I just did right around here, and then I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna pull it so right sides are out, especially around this curve. If you feel like your fabrics are too bulky, you can trim those down. I'm gonna see how mine are. I didn't think they were that bad. And sometimes I even like to just grab a straw, help push out that fabric faster. And really, for the rest of it, you just flip it so that it lines up like this. This is kind of gonna lay wonky for now, but we'll fix that. So it's looking really good. I really love these fabrics together. I think it looks really pretty. So summery. So I'm gonna flip out this other side. Oh, it's coming together, looking really good. Oh, and then this one we just flip to the back. Although it's kind of twisted up right now. So let me fix that. There we go. Okay. So now we're going to finish off our armholes, and I'm going to use a method called the burrito method because you're kind of like making a burrito out of your fabrics. And a lot of times I've done this on like yokes or dresses, like top parts of dresses. But I saw someone do this on a swimsuit, sleeves, reversible swimsuit sleeves, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna try that. So, because essentially what we want is we want this right side to match up with this right side, and we can't just like turn them like that. So what I have to do is I'm trying to think of the best way to show you guys. So I'm just gonna scrunch one of them up and lay this one up and kind of sandwich that or burrito it so the right sides are together of this side of the swimsuit. So I need to make sure. So that goes tucked in there. That gets tucked in there. And this is the right side and this is the right side. So I can see if I look at my shoulder seams, those are the right sides. And I'm gonna pin or clip, whatever you're using, those together. And then come along the edge and clip the rest of the armhole together. You might need to stretch your elastic when you sew it in, just like we did the neckline, but this way, so everything's kind of rolled up inside right now, or at least one half of our swimsuit is. So right sides together. You should be seeing the wrong sides of your fabric right now. And then I'm just gonna sew it just like we did the neckline. So I'm sewing over my elastic at 5/8 of an inch to make our perfect armhole. So I'm gonna go sew that. Okay, and then once that is sewn, the really satisfying part is pulling it out and seeing it pop like that. Oh. And if you did it right, it should look like this. Okay, so now I have my neck together, my armholes together, and I'm thinking about it. I did it with one, did do some top stitching. I might try it on first and see if I want to top stitch this down just to keep it from rolling and everything on one side, but we'll see. There is a lot of like my elastic's pretty tight right here, so I feel like it's not going to roll anyways, so it could be okay. So now I can do the same exact thing that I did to the other side. So I'm going to take it, if we lay it out right, make sure. Okay, so burrito method again. I'm going to kind of take that and shove it all in there, roll it all. Usually it's like you roll it up, but this is so small. There's really no rolling. I mean, I could tuck it like that and roll it like that. Just make sure, like I said earlier, right side, pin those together, clip those together, and just do the exact same thing that we did on the other armhole. After you've got both armholes finished, so just like that, now we're going to finish off our side seams, and we're going to do it, open it up, and we're just going to do right sides together again. So flip this, make sure you're matching fabrics, and line everything up and clip it in place. So you kind of opened it up, and we're doing one long line so that you get both fabrics, both the lining and the front fabric, the main fabric. I don't know. The base fabric? I don't know what to call it. But, okay, so open up both sides. Open up. Right sides together. And pin in place, and then we're going to sew those together just like we've sewn everything else. Now with this top portion finished for now, I'm going to set it off to the side and take my waistband piece, and on this pattern it has a unique spot where it kind of connects. It's kind of hard to show. Connects like right here, and then it is not attached at the top, but is attached to the rest of it. So what I'm going to do is we have little notches right in the middle, and I'm going to stitch, put the waistband right sides together, fold it in half, and I'm just going to stitch it 5/8 of an inch. Make sure to back stitch at the beginning and the end from this notch to this notch. So it's not very much. And then I'm going to turn it right sides out and get it ready to put on the rest of the bathing suit. So now I can turn it right sides out and pull that through. So here I have this waistband, this part of the waistband ready to go, because this right here is then gonna match up with this edge right here on our swimsuit. With it right sides out, I'm then gonna take it and match up the ends. So I'm opening it up, putting the ends right sides together, and I'm going to stitch right along here to create that waistband. So here I have my waistband piece folded in half, and now I'm going to attach it to my swimsuit. If you weren't doing this style of swimsuit, if I wasn't, with this kind of like finished off edge right here, you could use the burrito method to finish this off. So you would just put everything inside and then right sides together and leave an opening so that you could turn it right sides out. But it's a little more tricky when I have it like this. So what I'm going to do, and this is honestly the easiest way I've found to do it, is I'm going to line it up with one edge of my fabric. So I'm going to say right here, and this, the very front where the tie comes in and down, is going to match up with the end of your stitching for the waistband. So I'm not pinning this orange fabric, so this other side of the fabric, but I am pinning this one row, and I'm going to pin all of my waistband just so it all gets in the right place and looks good. So I'm matching up notches, and I don't have my elastic in there yet. I'm going to thread it through at the end so that it doesn't get in the way right here. And the back of the waistband is going to match up with the back seam of the swimsuit. This one for some reason doesn't have that notch, so I'm going to clip it in real quick. So I clipped in that notch and then lining my waistband piece up with the back of that swimsuit, the swimsuit back, and continue around. So it kind of looks messy, but this is honestly the easiest way I've found to do this. So unless you have a better idea, which by all means, please tell me and help a girl out, because sometimes I confuse myself, but I like how this works and looks in the end, so I'm happy with it, which is all that matters, right? So now I'm back to the other side, and I'm just pulling out that edge of my waistband so it's all the way to my stitching. See how it kind of like curves up there? And I'm lining that up with this edge that would come up and go into the tie. And I'm just pinning it or clipping it to my pink fabric. I'm not gonna sew it to the orange fabric just yet. And this will stretch, the waistband will stretch. But one thing I do want to make sure is that I do leave an opening in my waistband so that I can put the elastic in when we're done with this. It just makes it so much easier if you don't have it in there right now, a little less complicated. So now I'm going to take it over to my machine and all. So there should be the 3 pink layers, and then if you have power mesh, that's going to be in there as well on the front pieces, but you should, I'm just doing the 2 waistband edges and 1 of the swimsuit edges. So I'm just starting right at the edge and right where that center spot is where the ties are. So here are my ties, and I'm just stitching right along that waistband. I mean, right sides are together, but it looks like this right side because it's reversible. So all the way around, make sure you back stitch. And I'll leave an opening for my elastic. So here I have it, that waistband piece sewn on, but I still have this flapping around, and I need to put my elastic in. I'm using a wider elastic. I just really like the look of it. So that's what I'm going to try. So I'm just going to put a safety pin through one end of it and go to my opening that I left in the waistband piece, that is, and thread this through. And then once your elastic comes back around, I'm going to take those over to the sewing machine, overlay it by about 1/2 inch, and do a zigzag back and forth a few times to really secure that in place. And then I'll be able to close that hole that I left. Okay, so I have my waistband put in. Looks great. This will tie and look amazing. You can top stitch it if you want, but the one thing that I'm missing right now is if I flip it to the other side to make it reversible, it's not attached to the waistband. So what I'm going to do, and what I found was just the easiest, is taking this and turning it under by 5/8 inch and matching up where it should go. So like that notch should go right in the middle, and then just pinning it in place and top stitching around the top of the waistband and catching this edge. That has just been the easiest way for me to do it, and it looks pretty good. So I'm happy with it. But if you guys have another idea, I would love to hear it on the best way to do this. Like I said, if you don't have that like center part, I think you could totally do the burrito method, but because of that center section on the waistband, I don't think I can. I'm just trying to, it's hard to wrap my brain around that. And this just, my brain got this. So that's why I went with it this way. And I just thought this was the better way. More, I don't know. We'll see. So, but once you get to the edge right here, I just tuck those raw edges, tuck the fabric under, and pin that in place, and it's gonna look perfect. So you won't have any raw edges, which is exactly what you want when you're trying to make a reversible swimsuit. So it'll look just like this and go around, and finish this up, and then I'll top stitch around the top of that. Here's what mine looks like after I did some top stitching. It got a little wonky on this side, but I like that I did it with the pink thread, so it kind of just blends into the fabric. And then I just tried it on, and I'm actually really happy with how it looks, and I don't feel like I need to do the top stitching around here. I kind of like, especially when it's on the orange side, when the pink pops through. So that's kind of fun. But if you want to, like I said, you could top stitch this by just pushing everything inside as much as possible and top stitching along this with either a zigzag, a double needle, something like that. Or you could just leave it as it is and be done with your reversible swimsuit top. And then once you're all done with your bottom edge, you can finish with the top stitching if you want. You don't have to. Then you are done with your top. I'm really happy with how this turned out. I tried it on, fits really good, and I'm really excited to go swimming with it. The color is just beautiful. I love it. It's bright and fun for summer, perfect for the lake, which is exactly where I'm gonna wear it. So thanks so much for watching, guys. If you have any questions or comments, make sure to leave them down below in the description. I will make sure to put links down below for all the things I used. Make sure to check out the Baby Lock Brilliant as well. I'll put that link down below in the description. And make sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!